Hello, 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 Capricorn. I'm Poetic Heretic, and this is your September 2020 astrology forecast, where we take a look at the most significant astrological developments of the month and interpret them for your sign. Now, we are doing things a little bit different this month in that rather than my having a written report in front of me, I am instead interpreting each chart in real time. So that should be interesting. Also, I want to remind you, as always, that videos like these will always be most accurate for your rising sign. So I recommend using them for your rising sign first and foremost. But after that, of course, you can also use them for your sun and moon sign if you would like to. Now, with that said, let us begin. We have on screen a chart for an event at the end of September, and the reason for that is that we must understand this aspect first before we can properly understand the energetic reality of the month of September. And that is, of course, none other than the Mars-Saturn square. Now, September 29th at 5 p.m. Eastern Time is just when this aspect perfects, but really it is with us all month. The reason for that, as I talked about last month in my August forecast, is because as Mars is moving through Aries and slowing down, preparing to turn retrograde, it is holding its position in those rather late degrees of Aries, about 25 to 27 degrees. And as it does so, it is doing so in a tense square with Saturn in Capricorn. And this is very frustrating because Mars wants to push forward into the new. It wants to be very impulsive and take action now. Saturn is saying, no, you must stop or you must slow down. You must do it right. You must go through the necessary processes. And so we have this stop, go, push, pull, gas, brake energy right now that is indeed causing a lot of frustration for everyone of every sign. And this is not going away overnight. We're not going to see the end of this by the end of September at all. This is here with us for months to come. Both the Mars-Saturn square, one way or another, and Mars square to Jupiter and Pluto as well. And it's, larger extended stay in Aries. This will be with us until January of 2021, in fact. So we're not going to see the outcome of this anytime soon. But that said, for you, Capricorn, the basic delineation of this Mars-Saturn square is there is a stressful event occurring in your home and family life and or involving you personally that also involves focused action, motivation, desire, or willpower, as well as reality, structure, obstacles, or limitation that is pushing you into new areas of activity. And those new areas of activity, as well as the areas most likely to end up being affected by this aspect, are your home and family life, your friends or social group, you personally, and or your money or self-image. And so that is what we have with that. Remember that your home and family life in particular is experiencing a rather extended review now with Mars having this extended stay in that fourth house of yours. And so there is the need to take more time, have more patience, and have more presence with that area of your life. Both this month and in the months to come. But you must understand that everything else we're going to go over in this video must be understood within the context of this frustrating Mars-Saturn square, because that is happening constantly in the background. Now, speaking of which, the first major event that we are going to go over this month is the full moon in Pisces. Now, this full moon emphasizes the contrast between the earthy, practical sun in Virgo and the dreamy, mystical, imaginative moon in Pisces. And this full moon is also co-present with the modern ruler of Pisces, which is Neptune, and that is just adding another layer or level of dreaminess, imagination, spirituality, that which is non-physical and supernatural to this full moon. It is also sextile Uranus and Taurus, and so there's this energy of excitement, of innovation, of that which is new, that which is sudden, shocking, and unexpected. There's this electric feeling in the air for that which is new and exciting during this full moon. Now, for you, Capricorn, it is occurring in your third house of communication, short distance travel, and that which is familiar to you. And the full moon is where things come to a head. And so you can expect things to indeed come to a head on and around September 2nd in the area of your communication, short distance travel, and or what is familiar to you. Now, later that same day at 8:19 a.m. Eastern Time, we have Venus opposite Saturn. And so this creates another interesting contrast in that whereas the full moon in Pisces is very dreamy and mystical and imaginative, Venus opposite Saturn is much more somber and serious. And more specifically, how this is most likely manifesting for you is someone or something is challenging you in the area of you personally and or your major relationships involving how you relate to others, as well as structure, authority, reality, limitation, or obstacles that is requiring you to make a decision. And that will most likely end up affecting your creative self-expression, your career or public image, you personally, and or your money or self-image. Now, as if that wasn't enough, this Venus-Saturn opposition is also square to Mars, which is adding another layer of anger, frustration, the possibility for difficult experiences in the area of relationships, with Venus being involved. And on another level, or looked at another way, Venus is really just triggering that already existing Mars-Saturn square here. Now, the good news is that Mercury is applying to a sextile to Venus as well as a trine to Saturn at this time. And so there may be a way out of these difficulties through communication, Mercury things. So talking things out may be the answer around this time. On September 11th at 4:20 p.m. Eastern Time, we have the Sun opposite Neptune. This is also emphasizing the contrast between the earthy, practical reality of Virgo, the Sun in Virgo, and the dreamy, imaginative, spiritual reality of Neptune in Pisces. This is also someone or something likely challenging you in the area of your communication, short distance travel, or what is familiar to you, as well as your beliefs, spirituality, ideals, or what is foreign to you that involves your ego or sense of self, as well as dreams, imagination, fantasy, or spirituality, and that most likely ends up affecting your partner's money, business, or issues of life and death, as well as your communication, short distance travel, or what is familiar to you. In addition to that, we have the Sun making powerful trines to Jupiter, Pluto, and Saturn in Capricorn at this time. And so trines are breakthroughs. And so these breakthroughs are involving an expansion of your worldview with the trine to Jupiter, deep emotional experiences or inner transformation with the trine to Pluto, and breakthroughs involving reality, limitation, obstacles, or authority with the trine to Saturn. And since, of course, those three planets are in your sign of Capricorn, this is also very much, probably needless to say, involving you personally. These breakthroughs involve you personally, Capricorn. Next, we have the new moon in Virgo on September 17th at 7 a.m. Eastern Time. This is a very earthy and practical new moon taking place in earthy, practical Virgo. And of course, the new moon signals new beginnings and also the flavor of the weeks to come as we have the following lunar cycle. And so, again, this is very earthy and practical, and that is made even more so the case by the new moon being in a powerful trine with Saturn in Capricorn, which is very much interested in making things real and bringing them down to earth and into the physical realm. Now, this new moon is taking place in your 9th house of your belief, spirituality, ideals, and that which is foreign to you. And so you can expect new beginnings, quite possibly, in those areas. However, again, with the trine to Saturn in your sign of Capricorn, your 1st house of self, there may also be new beginnings and breakthroughs in yourself or involving you personally. And sometimes, of course, the 1st house can involve like even your physical body or your appearance, things of this nature. So a lot of excitement in that area. The final aspect we will be analyzing in this video is none other than Mercury opposite Mars on September 24th at 6:47 a.m. Eastern Time. This is an aspect of arguments and conflict. Sharp words, angry exchanges, things of this nature. Now, more specifically, what we have here is, yet again, someone or something is likely challenging you in the area of your home and family life and or your career or public image involving communication or what you write, study, talk, or think about, as well as focused action, motivation, willpower, or desire. And that is requiring you to make a decision, and that most likely ends up affecting your work, health schedule, day-to-day activities, your beliefs, spirituality, ideals, or that which is foreign to you, your home and family life, and or your friends or social group. Now, in addition to that, the Mercury-Mars opposition is also square Saturn, and so that's adding another element of heaviness, of limitation, of the authority stepping in and saying no. However, there's also the reality that in medieval astrology, this would be an aspect configuration where Saturn would be said to be accepting the management of Mercury and Mars. And when we see a planet accepting the management, it very often acts as a judge or mediator of some kind between the two other planets, in this case, the two opposing planets. And so between two opposing parties. And what makes this even more likely is that Saturn is already the authority figure. So we will likely see a situation where there are two people or two parties in conflict and someone else steps in to be the judge or mediator or whatever between them. Now, what's very interesting about this for you, Capricorn, is that it is none other than Saturn in your sign of Capricorn. And so you are the only sign that I get to say this to this month. It may be you, Capricorn, who ends up being that authority figure or that judge or that mediator between these two opposing parties. Now, maybe for some of you, it will instead be that you are involved in this or that someone else ends up being the judge of things. But I think, there's every indication here that it is going to be those with very strong Capricorn energy primarily who end up being the judge or the go-between in this area of conflict. So that is about it, Capricorn. The month of September, if I were to sum it up, I would say that it is definitely not an easy month. I'm not going to sugarcoat shit for you. I am here to tell it like it is as best as I can. I am Poetic Heretic, and I think that's why people come to my content and not those who just maybe, I don't know, tell them something else, because they want the real story. And I'm telling you, this is a difficult month. It's more difficult than August. It's probably one of the most difficult months of the entire year as a whole, especially with that Mars-Saturn square and the frustration inherent in it. However, I believe it is much better to be aware of these challenges so you can respond to them effectively rather than going into this month being unaware of them and just expecting things to be normal or not as challenging or whatever, because believe me, things are not normal at all right now. Now, one thing you can maybe take some comfort in, though, is that if at any point this month you do feel frustrated, and you likely will, you can know that that is not a sign that anything has truly gone wrong. Instead, that is perfectly representative of this very stressful and frustrating energy that we have right now this month. And it's perfectly normal. And so you can sort of relax into that. Another thing that is worth mentioning with the Mars-Saturn squares, this is definitely not a time to try to avoid reality in any way, shape, or form, because that would just be further aggravating the difficulties with Saturn. And it's also not a time where you want to fight any unnecessary battles at any point this month. I'd say maybe even especially around the 24th with the Mercury-Mars opposition. But really at any point this month, save your heroic battles for at least several months from now if you can. You don't always have that option, but if you do, if you can wait, then definitely wait, and try to just stay very disciplined and focused, and resist the impulse, or resist the urge to be impulsive, resist the urge to push forward in a rather brazen, or what's the word I'm looking for? Like uncautious way, I guess, for lack of a better word. Resist the urge to push forward in that way, and instead keep disciplining yourself, because that will pay off so much more in the long run when we are faced with these sorts of configurations. So that's about it, Capricorn. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, feel free to like and subscribe if you're not already, as I am always creating more content like this for this channel. Also, I want to say that despite the wretched astrological configurations that we have this month, I hope that you have a great month indeed, or at least as good of a month as you possibly can have under these very difficult conditions. So thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Bye for now.